to another episode of the Myrtle Beach Golf Report, powered by Play Golf Myrtle Beach. I'm Kyle Oland, and as always, joined by David Williams here in the golf capital of the world. It is a beautiful fall morning. We called it a few weeks ago that fall is here, and we've been talking about fall a lot, David, but fall is here.
Fall is here, Kyle. I'm still kind of worried we're going to get one of those like really, really random hot days, but for now, for the time being, fall is fully here.
Yeah, and what I love about this time of year, you can see if you're watching today's episode, you can see I'm wearing a little quarter zip, and David's got his hoodie on. That this is a great time for golf because you'll wake up, you put your quarter zip on, put your hoodie on, and usually by the back nine, you're back on your polo because the sun's out, and it's just a beautiful, no humidity, mid-70s day in Myrtle Beach, and that's what we have right now. And we've had some friends here over the last week actually, who have come into town from various parts of the country, Golficity, and then the folks from Courses You Need to Play, and they've experienced some amazing golf here.
Yeah, and Fat Perez.
Oh, yeah.
Fat
FP,
Perez,
yeah. Out
of nowhere, Fat Perez just texted Kyle and mentioned us in an Instagram story and that he was in town, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah, actually, I was on the road up to my cousin's wedding, and I get this text from Fat Perez, and he's like, "Hey man, just want to let you know I'm on my way to Myrtle Beach with my buddies. We're gonna be out there playing some golf." I was like, "Oh, nice, man. Like, do you need anything?" He's like, "Nah, man, we're all good. Just wanted to let you know."
Yeah, that's pretty cool. He's the man.
He loves Myrtle Beach. Like, he genuinely loves Myrtle Beach.
He's the man. He's the best, truly the best. And, Golficity appears to have had an awesome time last week, and same with the Courses You Need to Play guys. So you'll actually hear from the Golficity guys. You probably have already seen it in the episode title, but they'll be on this episode here in 10, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, so they're coming, and just a reminder that the Myrtle Beach Golf Report is powered by Play Golf Myrtle Beach, which is your one-stop shop to get all things Myrtle Beach golf, information about courses, hotels, lodging, restaurants, entertainment, anything you could want, you could find it on there. And at playgolfmyrtlebeach.com, you can get a trip quote for a buddy's trip to Myrtle Beach in just a few quick clicks of the button. And then you'll have in your email inbox different options for you to consider from one of our many different package partners here in the Myrtle Beach market. So if you want to go and plan a golf trip to Myrtle Beach, go to playgolfmyrtlebeach.com. And then one thing that we always try to tell people is if you're thinking about coming to Myrtle Beach, this is a little bit of a pro tip, that the earlier you book, the better the rate will be, which sometimes it's hard for people to understand that. But when you think about it, that as inventory goes down, that obviously the rate will increase. So the farther out you can book and plan your trip with your buddies, you'll get the best rate possible.
And you'll have a better chance of getting the times you wanted, right? I think that's a big unspoken part, or not talked about enough part of the whole golf trip planning process, is that, like, if you want, let's say, like, spring's right around the corner. Spring will be here before we know it, which is crazy. But if you want to play 36 one day in the spring, if you wait, like, chances are you're not going to have time. You're not going to have the golf course will not have availability. So get on it, do it now.
Yeah, that is something that a lot of people forget about when planning the golf trip, is that, hey, if you have a certain period of time during the day that you want a tee time, that the earlier you book and reserve, you're going to have a better chance of getting that. It's funny. Somebody just said, "Hey, can you get me a tee time?" And it's like 2 weeks from today on a Sunday at a well-known golf course here. And they wanted like an 8:45 tee time. And like, I looked at the tee sheet.
Full.
Nope, not happening, buddy.
Pattern is full. Yeah. Go around. That's not happening.
So use those two pro tips. Book early, and you'll save a little money, and you will also get your tee time that you want, right?
It's also just fun to have it on the books early, right? Like, that's when the trash talking can start. Then you can, like, really, really start to plan the off-the-course stuff. We've talked about that a handful of times because that is what makes this area unique, is that there is plenty of time to do off-the-course stuff, or plenty of things to do off the golf course here too. So, it helps you actually get a plan in place. Like, that's a big part of it. Yep. Also helps with lodging too.
It does. It does help with lodging. And David, I'm gonna preview a little bit of who not this week's guest is, but our next guest on the Myrtle Beach Golf Report. But our friend, friend of the show, friend of Myrtle Beach, Wesley Bryan, had him. He seems to always be in the headlines with the PGA Tour. He might be like
He does something. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I would love to ask him, is it all planned? And we can ask him that next week because Wesley and Joe will be on the show. Or Wesley and George, excuse me, not Joe. Joe won't be on the show.
Joe could come if you
We don't
wanted
want
to.
Joe. Joe, if you're listening to this, you're not welcome. But
He said it. Kyle said it, Joe, not me.
I did say it. But so Wesley Bryan, and not only is he a friend of the show, so you can't say this is a homer thing, but what happened was actually very unique, David. Talk everybody through at the inaugural, what is it? Was it the Black Mountain or
Black Desert
Desert Classic, yeah. Out in Utah.
Place looks sweet, by the way.
It does, dude.
It looked awesome.
Mountain golf, hey, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and the golf capital of the world is amazing, but mountain golf looks pretty cool, too.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So you're listening to this next week. But we're recording it this week. This past weekend was the Black Desert Championship, I think. And Wesley didn't play well round one. Needed to shoot a number to make the cut, and he's trying to get inside the 125, top 125, keep their tour cards for next year. He's 130, I think 4 after this weekend, so he's close. But he darkness was falling. He got to 18, par 5, hit it on a 2, had 14 feet for eagle. Horn was blown, and for those of you who have played competitive golf, you know that once the horn is blown, you can finish the hole you're on, but that's it. As long as a tee shot has been struck by somebody in your group on that hole, you can finish that hole. So Wesley opted not to putt out because he's trying to make the cut, and typically I think Ryan French, Monday Q Info on Twitter, was talking about it, but the reason he probably, and we can ask him about this in a few weeks, but one of the reasons he probably waited was because they cut the greens every morning. So fresh green, fresh line, nobody else has walked on it by the time Wesley had gotten there. Ton of foot traffic throughout the green, so probably a little bumpy. And anyway, Wesley comes back Saturday morning, cans it, huge reaction, throws his hat, throws the ball. It was just awesome to see. And then he went on to played well Saturday, but then he played really, really well Sunday and finished, I think, T15. So good for him.
Yeah.
Proud of him.
Yeah.
Proud of you, Wesley. Proud of you.
Wesley, you made David proud. You've done something well in your life, I guess.
If chances are, if you're listening to this, you've probably already watched The Amazing Race, the part 3. Wesley was ready to kill me, so don't worry, Wesley. You made me proud.
Made him proud. So we're going to have Wesley and George on the Myrtle Beach Golf Report here in a couple weeks, kind of get into their story, deep dive into what they have going on, deep dive into their career, and just have some fun. I think we've gotten to know Wesley and George pretty well over the last year plus, so we're excited to sit down for a conversation and just learn a little bit more about, a little deeper into who Wesley and George Bryan are. But
low key, Kyle, I know the running joke of this program has, for the longest time has been friends of the program. Low key, we're kind of accumulating a pretty big list of friends of the program here.
Yeah, we must be doing something right.
I would think.
Yeah.
I would think. Depends on who you ask, probably. But
yeah, if you want to be a friend of the program, let us know. So, if you're listening to this week's episode and you might have a question that you would want us to talk to Wesley and George about, shoot us a DM on Play Golf Myrtle Beach. Put it in the comments of this podcast. And if you could do us a solid, like and subscribe to the podcast. It would really help us out, help get more people involved in what we have going on here at Play Golf Myrtle Beach. But if you have a question you would want us to ask, hit us up. We'll figure a way to ask that question. And
see a friend, tell a friend.
See a friend, tell a friend. That's right. And David, we actually have a really cool next guest that that I'm gonna introduce now. So Frank and Mike of Golficity, kind of learned a little bit about them about a little over a year ago, year and a half now. They came to Myrtle Beach for the first time on a golf trip, and they played, I think, 4 courses and loved it. They had a blast. It was their first time here, and they said, hey, we got to come back because we got to play more courses, right? That's what you guys are known for, and that's right. We've told you guys this. If you listen to the Myrtle Beach Golf Report, you know that there are more choices than any other destination, and that is what makes this destination so unique for a golf trip. But we got to have them on and talk a little bit about their story, and it's really cool. What I liked hearing is these guys, and they are content creators, And I think a lot of times when people hear about content creators, like, oh, you guys have the best job ever. You get to just go, film golf, and you have it so easy.
People say that about us.
Yeah.
First off.
Well, that's not true at all.
Yeah.
Both these guys have grinded for like 8 years, and one of them still works full time. One of them was just able to leave his full time job. But in their words, it's still a grind. They're still having to get after it, and I think that's what motivates them. So excited to learn a little bit more about their story and get their perspective on Myrtle Beach. They've played in a lot of different golf destinations, so excited for that.
Yeah, it's a great interview, and we named an alligator. So that's my favorite part of the show. I'll just leave that there. But I think it's time to throw it over to Mike and Frank.
Welcome to another episode of the Myrtle Beach Golf Report, powered by Play Golf Myrtle Beach. As always, joined by David Williams, and this week we have some special guests that have made their way to the golf capital of the world from New Jersey. They had to get out of the Northeast, come to the South, and no better place than the golf capital of the world. We are joined by Mike and Frank from Golficity. Guys, welcome.
What's up, Kyle? Welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. We love being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Second time here.
Yep.
Myrtle Beach once last year, first time. We had to come back.
How's the week been?
So far, so good. We're kind of like halfway through our trip. We played 2 courses out of the 4, but it's fun here. So much fun. And it's funny. We were driving using the maps to go to the hotel. And looking at them, we're like, wow, there's so much golf here. It's incredible.
We call this trip like the gotta play trip because last time, we played 6 amazing courses. And since that series came out, everywhere we go, everyone's got an opinion on what courses we got to play in Myrtle Beach. The big one was Thistle.
Yeah, heard that a lot.
We ran into a lot of head pros, and some of the other courses, they're like, oh, Thistle. So this is the gotta play tour now. We're coming back and playing all the ones that people told us we missed.
I love it. Yeah. I love it.
So where are you guys playing while you're here this week?
This week we did Pine Lakes Country Club yesterday, Thistle today, and then we've got the one everyone raves about, True Blue. And then we're off to Barefoot Die, which is right here.
Yeah, we played Barefoot Love last time.
That's right.
Loved it. We saw the die, so that's a gotta play. And we are big Strands guys. Mm-hmm. So Caledonia, I think, was my favorite from the last time we were here, and would have loved to have done True Blue last time. So now it's on the list. It's happening.
We'll get into your experience on 18 at Caledonia.
Yeah,
we'll get into that.
Unforgettable.
Yep.
So for those who are listening right now who might not be familiar with you all, kind of give them a background on what you all do at Golficity.
Take it, man.
Sure, yeah. So like the real background is that we're cousins. And 12 years ago now, Mike was just getting into golf.
Yep.
I was just getting back into it. We both are from a business background and all that. I'd gone through college, masters, all that. So I played a little bit of golf growing up, then got away from it totally. But as we were getting into it, like we knew we wanted to have a creative outlet. We were also just wanted to share this experience that we had of getting into the game for the first time, getting back into the game. And we're talking 12 years ago, so that was the time of like, there was no really YouTube. It was blogs.
There's one golf podcast out there.
Yeah.
I feel like we were the second golf podcast.
It might have been the second one. If you check the tape, it's
like
possible.
Golf Smart or Golf or something, Golf Smarter.
So we started just writing about it. We had a blog. At the time, in my job, I was doing a lot of commuting, so I was listening to podcasts. They were just starting to roll out. So I'm like, Mike, let's just do a podcast. If nothing else, I said, it's an excuse for us to talk golf for an hour without our wives being upset.
Yep.
Because they'd be like, every time you guys
brilliant.
get together, all you talk about is golf.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, let's just do that. So we started the podcast, and then from the podcast, we started to get opportunities with media, like invites to go and do experiences. And we got invited to one in New York City. And as part of that, there was a competition, and Mike won a slot to play in the Pro-Am at Bay Hill with Francesco Molinari.
That was like one of our first YouTube videos.
So we're documenting everything.
That's a hot
now.
start for YouTube videos.
Yeah. So now we turn on the cameras, and now we just we'll just document all our journeys, where we go, what we do. And one thing just led to another from there. And it's just been a creative outlet for us to be able to share the game and our experiences as we play.
That's awesome. So with Golficity, what all do you guys create? I know you mentioned podcasts, but you do video content as well. Tell us a little bit about the type of content that you guys create.
So obviously, primarily golf themed. It's all of our golf experiences. Some of the stuff we've been doing a lot lately is finding these kind of hidden gem experiences. An example was this place up in the Catskill Mountains in New York, and I've never heard of it. And he lives in New York, and like you never hear these things unless you get the opportunity. So we go up there, and we rented this whole entire house. And when you rent this house, you get the golf course for the weekend. So think about it. You could bring 15 people, and you could play golf there, and and then this Vermont Airbnb, another situation with 22 beds where you could bring everyone. These experiences are just so awesome, and nobody knows about them. So we get to create these short pieces of content, long pieces of content, and show them. These guys are just share them to your buddies, go and do them. And I feel like without this content, you don't know about it. So it's cool to bring them to life.
So 12 years ago, this kind of all started, right? And you guys both said that, hey, you guys were doing other jobs. Are you still working in those current jobs, or have you been able to step away? Tell me a little bit about that.
Luckily, I was able to go full-time 2 years ago now.
Let's go.
Yeah. It was...
Took 10 years, but...
Listen, we had said, look,
That's
if we
the
had
dream.
done this when we were younger, right, it would have been easier. But, like, we both have kids. We've got mortgages. I mean, you guys know, it's not as easy. So we had gotten into careers, and I was fortunate that my career was in a family business, helping run operations for my father's family business. Luckily, I had a younger brother who had the interest in taking that place over. It really just wasn't where my heart was at, but this was my hobby forever. And it was starting to get to where it was starting to sustain itself and have a little bit of revenue, but it was still like a leap of faith. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And I finally was able to do it and just go full time. And you could tell your story.
Yeah, I'm almost there. I mean, I still work in finance, and I run my own practice in finance, so I have the flexibility to work, sometime over here and sometime over there. So I've been doing that the whole time, and the dream one day is to just do this full time.
Yeah, now, you mentioned having a wife and kids. Do you have a wife and kids as well? And that's one of the hard things, right? Is when you have those responsibilities, that's not just yourself you're taking care of, right? If it was just Mike and Frank, you guys probably was, all right, we're just quitting and, all I got to do is worry about myself. But when you have kids and a wife and a mortgage, it makes it a lot harder. So I commend you for being able to be in that place, because I know a lot of people probably are watching your journey and they're listening and they're like, man, I would love that. Tell me a little bit about the grind that you guys have gone through.
Yeah, it's been a lot. I think the thing that sustained it for us is that we love it so much. That's it. Yeah. I think, you hear things like people want to be a YouTuber or whatever. It's more so like find something you really love and just do it all in. In fact, it's funny, speaking of my kids, like recently my daughter invited me to come do a career day, and I was like, the YouTuber. Right?
Oh. You were probably the most popular one there.
No kidding.
Yeah. I mean, the kids, I brought the silver play button in, and the kids just lost it.
Oh,
the
my
silver
gosh.
play button. But I wanted to drive home to them. I'm like, guys, listen, it's so important that you understand how much work. Because a lot of people make it look really easy. It looks like a camera's just on. But you don't know the planning that goes in, the behind the scenes. And that's why I think both of us feel so fortunate that we had the business background to start first, just to learn how to prioritize things, how to organize things, because even before doing it full time and now doing it full time, the grind has not stopped in any way, because now I don't want to go backwards. Right. I'm living the dream. I want to keep it going. So we were nights and weekends, and everything we do is self-taught. We neither one of us went to school for this. Yeah, no. We didn't go to school at anything. So anything from learning how to slowly the iterations of getting better with the cameras, getting better with the audio, setting up we eventually rented our own space where we could set up a podcast booth. I mean, you guys see it, you know what it's like. It's a lot, but it's always been that was the passion. Like we love golf, but we love a creative outlet and content creation. So it's being able to do both. It's what fuels us, and it doesn't, as much work as it is, it doesn't feel like it.
I truly think that's like one of the lost things when it comes to like this whole creator space in golf now, is that like it looks easy and you can say, yeah, I'm going to do it. But like you actually have to go out there and do it. You actually have to have a plan, right?
That's right.
If you don't have a plan, you could just be making videos for nothing and sink a bunch of money into it and not get anything in return. I think we've kind of seen that with what we do in a way. Like we're getting more into that space now. So
Yeah, definitely.
Before we go any further, I got to ask about the name.
Yeah.
How the name came about.
So again, going back to like, it was the days of blogs and stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's also when domain names really mattered, right? And you're like, oh, you got to be on Google for anyone to find you, So we have to have golf in the name. And we were so frustrated. Every name on earth with golf was taken. and we're like, let's simplify this. And like we went with like golficity, like simplicity. And it was out there, and we're like, we'll take it. And I will say it's been a hurdle because it's some people, because anytime you're dealing with a made up word, right? So we get called Golf City to this day everywhere we go, Golf City. But it's a good test because we know anyone's really watching the content if they say it right.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll hear somebody holler out in the golf, it's Golficity. And we're like, all right.
You got it.
But then we've come just kind of love and embrace it. We just recently went through a whole rebranding. Like, again, everything we had done was by ourselves. Like, we threw our logo together. We don't know what we were doing. And over time we learned, but then now we're finally being able to invest in it. We hired a marketing company to help us to refresh the logo, make it in a way that's a little bit more where people can kind of read it and understand what it is.
Yep.
So, I
think it came down to Golfology and Golficity or something. It was
whatever
great.
was available.
Golfology's not bad.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the things we've grown to love, and it was out of a necessity in a lot of ways.
You talked about you're on your way to full-time with it. What was like the one moment for either of you might have a different answer to this, that you were like, okay, this is going to work. Like, I can do this.
Wow.
I feel like we still just feel blessed that it's working.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like there's ever like a point where like, we've got this.
Yeah.
I think it's good to stay like on your toes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, even now, I feel like I need to work to keep doing what I do.
Right.
Grind never stops.
Yeah, there's always that pressure. Like you said, you don't want to go back. You want to go forward, and you guys want to keep building what you got going on. And it's great to have you guys back because you were here last year in Myrtle Beach. And tell me a little bit about that experience, because last year was your first time in the golf capital of the world. So what was that like? Actually, let me back that up. What were your perceptions of Myrtle Beach? And then what was Myrtle Beach like when you left the trip?
I mean, look, we always hear Golf Town USA, right? Like, you're a golfer, you need to get here.
Yeah.
But we want to see it firsthand. And the funniest part about it is we actually had a trip early on planned to Myrtle Beach.
2016, October.
2016. And I'll never forget this because now we bring everything with us, our clubs and everything. But back then, we were going to ship our clubs down. So I shipped our clubs. I get them on the UPS truck. And we knew there was bad weather coming. There was a hurricane. And
we don't say those words around here. They don't exist.
Well, listen, we always think on the bright side of it. So it's not going to happen. We're going to be fine. So we're just going to go. But then I'll never forget this, right after I got the clubs on the truck, we got the email, the whole trip had got called off because of the weather. I chased that truck down and I got my clubs off of it because I am not sending my clubs down there without us going. But always, it's just the idea behind it is always we wanted to get here. And it was just like, there was a couple of years it just didn't line up. You had COVID, stuff like that. But this one was like right at the top of the list. Like, we're going to make it happen. So we come down here and that first year we played 6 amazing courses. Everything just kind of was above and beyond what we expected. And that's where we're just like, we kept talking about it since. We're like, we're coming back. That's why I said this year is, that's why we're doing it.
Because every course was different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah, I think that's what makes Myrtle Beach so unique. We always talk about on this show, hey, we have more than 80 courses to choose from, that no matter what you're looking for, you can find something. And you could come back to Myrtle Beach for year after year and never have the same experience twice. And you guys are prime examples. I think the only thing that might be the same is you're staying in the same place, right? That's a cool place, though.
Yeah, place is pretty sweet.
Where are you staying?
What's it called? The
North Beach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice,
You're overlooking the water.
Yeah, the tower's right there.
So speaking of your first trip, I want to talk about something that stuck out to me the most from that content. Both of your experiences on the 18th hole at Caledonia. In case listeners or viewers haven't seen it yet, give them a rundown of what happened.
Well, I still remember I was like vibrating, shaking, walking off the green. I never experienced that before in my life because the emotion of sinking a putt in front of a crowd of people who were,
hammered.
Yeah. They're intoxicated up there, but having a blast. They were watching us the whole way in is what they do on that hole. And to drain that putt and to fist pump the way I did, like Tiger, like over aggressively, but you're in the moment. And then to have that, like, I remember now I'm starting to shake again. It was like one of the coolest moments I think I've ever had in this whole venture.
Yeah. And we were saying while we were out there, I think the cool thing is you hear 18 before you see it.
Yep.
So the anticipation is building, and like I said, we're big Strands guys. We love the course, so we were just having a great day out there. And then we start to round that corner, and I'm like, it's coming. And the cool thing, like everyone talks about the approach shot at 18, but 18 is a really interesting tee shot too. Yeah. You know, you can't just smash driver. You're in the drink. So, you know, we're just first time playing it. We're trying to get it right. We both managed to get the 2 good iron shots out there. And then I mean, it's cool. You get like almost a taste of what maybe the guys on tour get, where there's like a little bit of a gallery. And just stepped up. I just hit the best shot I could, and it rolled right past the pin. I thought for a moment it was in. And when those guys started jumping, we were just fist pumping. And it was just like, it was a cool shared experience for us, for everybody who was out there. And it's just like, it felt like a very, like, that's what we love about golf, right? Like the camaraderie, even if you don't know someone's name, if you both play golf, you know, you have something you share, and you just feel that from coming from that porch. Yeah. And afterwards we went up there. Yeah, there was drinks being had, but all the guys, super like awesome dudes. You know, they were telling us about their charity outing that they do. Some of them were giving us like little trinkets from their golf courses, and we just kind of exchanged, you know, names and stories, and it was a cool place. Never forget it.
You're gonna get that same thing at True Blue tomorrow on the porch?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's
It's a very similar finish, right?
Yeah, it's a little harder of an approach shot, I'd say, than Caledonia.
Okay.
Like, it could be a little longer, depending on what tees you guys play. But, yeah, you could get that same experience easily. Like, if it's a night, I mean, I think it's going to be like 75 and sunny tomorrow. So,
yeah, you guys got a great time to be.
People should be out.
You lucked out with that. Thanks for setting that up, Kyle.
Now, you know what, man? I just called to the weather guys and said, hey, the boys are coming here. Give them some good weather.
Whatever you did, it worked.
They answered.
You nailed that fist bump, by the way. Like,
Thanks.
that was like
Keep
by
going.
the book. But what you said, like, that's golf, though. Like, that's the best part about golf. Like, it is. You can ask him. I'm an inherently negative person on the golf course, but
He says he's the worst golfer on the planet. He's not.
I am. I am.
Very good golfer.
I am.
We're all our own biggest critics.
Like, that's the best part about golf. Like, you didn't know those guys,
Right.
and you just went up there and they started handing you stuff, and it's
Yes.
like that's truly like that's what we always say. It's the magic of a Myrtle Beach golf trip, right?
Yep.
There's definitely magic here. And so tell me a little bit. Let's talk through. So we talked about last year, you know, your experience. Now this year, you've already played 2 rounds, and you got 2 more coming up. Tell me a little bit about Pine Lakes and Thistle, right? Give me the debrief on those 2 courses.
Yeah, so Pine Lakes, first of all, we thought was a great condition, and it was very fair. It had challenge, but it's fair. Like, we were able to go out and we could score well, play well. It was cool to walk through and check out the Hall of Fame that was there. In fact, we had to text George Bryan because we thought it was his grandfather.
Said no relation.
He said he wasn't sure.
Or he wasn't sure.
Wait, do you know George well?
Yeah.
Awesome. I was just on the phone with George like just before you guys got
great.
here.
Well, and there
Friend
was
of the
one plaque. It says it's George Bryan. Like,
Yes, I've seen that. I've wondered the same
I
thing.
texted
actually.
it to him, and he said he doesn't know. I said, what are the chances?
there's a lot of us.
It's spelled the same way.
But we were like,
I'll find
Bryan.
the answer
Myrtle.
before the
Yeah.
end of this.
Did you know, actually, funny story, George's father-in-law used to be the mayor of Myrtle Beach.
Really? Yeah. See, this got to be the Hall of Fame. It's got to be him.
Something, yeah.
Somehow there's a relation there.
That's
But it was
interesting.
cool to check that out. I mean, the nice little touch. The guys making mimosas on the way out.
That was a cool touch. The Sports Illustrated being born there was cool.
Yeah.
But for me, and similar to last trip with Grand Dunes and Pine Lakes, I guess for most people, they aren't of the caliber of name you would have heard of. Like, you think TPC Myrtle Beach, Caledonia, True Blue, all that stuff. But when you get off an airplane and you're with your group and it's the first one out of the gate, I don't want to call it a warm-up course. It's not like it's easy in any way, but I like building up to the big ones as you go on the week. Like, tomorrow we've got True Blue, and we just keep psyching ourselves up about it, and then we end with the die course, obviously.
Also, too, like, we're also big history guys. And, like, there's a lot of motivations and reasons to play a golf course, but we love digging into that, you know. And last summer, we had done a whole series locally in New Jersey called Inside the Gates, because the tough thing with New Jersey is there's such great golf, but nobody can play it. It's all private. But we said there were still stories there that we wanted to uncover. And we did stuff like going down into the archives with the course historians and really digging that up. So, you know, some of us just geek out on that. We like that history stuff. So it was really cool getting to play the first golf course in Myrtle Beach and finding out some of that. And the clubhouse there is just so cool. Yeah. And like you can just taste the history. Yeah. So that was a great way to start off the second one. And then going to Thistle today. I mean, we were just kind of like drooling over the maps, like looking at it ahead of time. We're like, oh, there's water on every hole. This is going to look so good. From our content side, the drone, and we were able to bring Zach with us, who you can't see over here, but Zach was our drone pilot for a long time, and then he ended up moving on to another job, and he moved up to Vermont. But we're like, we're bringing you back for this one. Like, take off work and get down here.
Just like that.
And we've all been drooling over it, but that was a great golf course.
Can confirm George W. quote Buster and quote Brian, no relation to the Bryan family.
Wow.
What's he famous for?
1959, he built the Caravel.
I built hotels. Okay.
He's the guy that started the golf package.
That's crazy.
He started the golf package.
Yeah, that's
George Bryan.
Started the golf
in the
package.
1950s, he created Myrtle Beach's first golf promotion group, quote, Golf Hotel, combining 8 courses and 8 hotels into a marketing co-op.
Yeah, and we claim here that Myrtle Beach started the golf package. So George Bryan started the golf package.
No relation to Wesley and George.
No relation.
Well, we figured it out.
Good. Glad we got to the bottom of that.
Not moving. Oh, actually, I do have a Thistle question. I think you guys probably know where we're going with this. What are we naming that gator?
We've been tossing around Pickles.
Pickles is a great name.
We've been tossing around Pickles.
Yeah.
That's a great. I think that's it. I think
And
we
I'll tell
just.
you what, we got some great footage of Pickles.
Yeah,
Did you?
With the drone and with this slow crawl into the water.
We got him swimming. We got him jumping in.
Hell yeah! Shout out to Pickles. That's
Pickles.
a great name, dude. What?
I'm calling.
I don't even-
I'm gonna call Kevin and be like, hey, just to let you know that Gator now is a name.
Yeah,
It's
like
Pickles.
We met Kevin today at the end. Great
Kevin,
guy.
what a guy.
Kevin's great
He's
guy.
a good dude.
we don't even need. Actually, what are the other names you guys threw around?
It was
I
funny.
think it was the first one that stuck. We just,
Right before we came up, we were like, we always just can't wait to get back and look at the drone footage. So we're watching him swim. We're like, this guy's a Pickles. I don't know.
Yeah,
Dude,
it
all right.
just came out of nowhere.
We're good. We're calling it's Pickles officially.
Officially Chick-fil-A at the time, and there was pickles on that.
Yeah, it could have been that too.
All right, it's Pickles. I want to move away a little bit. You guys have, you touched on it earlier in the intro about all these places you've gone. Non-Myrtle Beach division, kind of what's the coolest thing you guys have been able to do with your whole brand and your YouTube channel?
There's a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, just travel wise, I think that's really what lights us up is the opportunity to go and travel and see new places. And how I don't know, what was Scotland? How many years ago? 3?
2019.
2019.
Yeah,
So
holy
it's a trip that we'll probably never replicate and just never forget. Never replicate because I think we're getting too old to try to
do it
pull it
again.
off again. Because we did 10 courses in 6 days. We played 36 every day.
Oh, my
and
God.
There's no carts, or as they call
One
them,
round had a
buggies
cart, yeah.
in Scotland. So you are walking. But we got to experience everything, and I couldn't believe. Everyone thinks like the old course St. Andrews. We played it. How much diversity of golf is around there? There's Parkland courses that are amazing. We even got to play this course called Kingarrick that is. Someone had bought a house, and then when they were going through the attic, they found plans for a golf course that was there, a 9-hole golf course. And then they went out and they bought all of the old original equipment. So the whole course is maintained with original equipment from 200 years ago. You play with hickories, and they play with the replica balls. And then we went into town and we bought like the +4s, the high stock.
yeah.
We did the whole thing. We're like, we're going to experience it. So we got to do that. We got to play the old course. We got to play Kings Barnes on the most beautiful day.
Yeah.
Like the only day it doesn't rain in Scotland. It
we
was
got it.
awesome. So that was unforgettable 6 days.
Yeah. I mean, you just nailed it. It's all the travel and the opportunities. And this year was just been filled with it. And I think so far, before coming down here, I think the highlight has been Cabot Cliffs up in Nova Scotia, which is a place you see all the time on Instagram and things like that. And you're like, wow, that place actually exists. And then we had the chance to go up there and knock that out. And that was wild.
That's on my bucket list. Yeah. That is on my bucket
As
list.
well it should be. That place is special, yeah.
Let me ask you this, guys. So, you guys are in the YouTube golf space, the content creator space, and we work and do a lot of partnerships and relationships with folks in that space. And, we're big fans of it. We're big supporters. We believe in it. But tell me a little bit from your perspective, how the YouTube golf has changed over the last 4 or 5 years, because it has.
Yeah.
Definitely has. Well, first of all, I mean, a lot of people got into it around COVID, as with anything with golf, you know, and we saw, I thought that's the best thing is like the silver lining of COVID was that we saw a lot of young people get into it. And, you know, a lot of the younger crew is like, that's YouTube is more their thing. That's very natural to them. So I think the best part about it is the diversity of it. You know, it doesn't matter like what your personality is. You can find a personality that matches it on YouTube and find someone to watch. But for our own experience, it's been such a cool, like, feels small, very supportive community. All the guys, in one way or another, we've run into almost all of them, and it's just been an incredible experience. You know, the collabs that we've done and stuff like that. But I just think it's such a great way to keep growing the game to new audiences, because there's a reality that there's a lot of younger guys who don't watch the PGA Tour. The way that they're entertained with golf is YouTube. And if that brings more people into the game, then we're all winning.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like what you guys do is you're showcasing travel golf through your own channel, through your own lens, through your own creative way. And just 15 years ago, you know, the only way you could do that was if you were watching Golf Channel in their travel segment, right? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
And now there's just so much more out there, and there's so many more relatable characters that people can relate to, especially if like we're all probably around the same age of life that, you know, our generation, that's how we consume content. Like I'm not going to Golf Channel to go watch my entertainment. I'm going to YouTube to find the niche that I'm interested in, find the characters that I like, and then I'm going to follow them. It's a crazy world, and it's crazy how we've gotten here.
What a wild world. I couldn't have ever seen that coming. Do you guys want to take this opportunity to call out George and Wesley and play them in a match, and we'll film it?
Sure,
I'm kidding.
They better give us a lot of strokes, those guys.
Sorry, I had to ask. It just
I
popped
would
in my
love
head.
that. And our bucket list is to actually get to their course and film there.
Selena?
Yeah.
You mentioned collabs and stuff. What's your favorite collab y'all have done?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good
We
question.
had fun with Busted Jack at Whistling Straits. Those guys were fun.
We had a blast of that one. Yeah.
What else? There's been a lot of when Garrett Clark, I guess before Good, right before COVID, we had that opportunity to work with him and film like a range session with him and interview him. And
He taught you how to hit the stinger.
taught me how to hit the stinger, and that's when he was just big on those trick shots on
Yep.
Instagram. And yeah, like you said, we've run into everyone and a lot of people in the space.
You know, we've never done a
Grant and Micah and those guys coming on the podcast talking about their
Yep.
experience with it.
We've never done a formal collab with him, but we know Eric Anders Lang well. We've seen him on the, I've always had so much respect for what he does, because I think for me, like for us, like learning as we go, it's one channel, but he comes from a background of filmmaking and stuff like that. So I've always had a lot of respect of how he brought that into the game, and always thought his stuff is great. So it's a lot of the stuff that we watch, but like I said, it's just a small world, and it's, you know, I remember when Rick Shields was setting up his podcast, and he called us to say like, hey, what are you guys doing with this? And we share a lot of that information. We're like, we just know it's like, just, it benefits us all to help each other in any way that we can. Because I think as we grow, it's not like a zero-sum game. It's like, if I watch you, I'm not watching him. Get people onto the platform watching, they're going to watch everything. So it's like, it's never felt like a very competitive space. It's more felt like a very camaraderie type of space.
We're all one.
Yeah.
When all, what is it? Rising tide lifts all ships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like get them on YouTube and then let them go out on that suggested tab. Like let them do
That
it.
is it.
Eric actually did a random golf club at Pine Lakes, believe it or not.
Did he really?
Yeah, I just remembered that since you all played Pine
I've
Lakes.
always wondered the logistics of getting like 60 guys
Dude.
out there playing at one time.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go to one of his events and
Was
see
that the
it.
one a couple years ago? Yeah.
Yeah, that like piques my anxiety every time I watch it. I'm like, dude, like I'm like afraid I'm gonna get. You guys ever been hit with a golf ball?
No.
It's not fun. Like that's my biggest worry. That's my biggest worry.
Yeah.
It's not fun. I got hit right here in a tournament once, and then I got hit with a golf club in the chest. The second one was my fault. That was my fault, but I was just a dumb kid. You guys have a lot of written content on your website as well. I don't know if people know that. They might only know you from social, but you have a lot of written content, deep diving into kind of what's going on in the professional game now. I want your guys' take on the professional game. This is a say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean,
It's been fun to watch.
fun to watch. It's been, I mean, our podcast is primarily driven by, golf, sports news, and breaking down all the latest and greatest because we love it. I mean, we always joke. Going back even a decade ago, we're like, hey, how cool would it be to have like a TMZ for golf? Break the gossip, break the news, what's going on. And this whole Live PGA thing has created that. This guy left for this amount of money. This guy wants to give the money back. It creates drama, and we love it. We love chatting about it because we're talking about it anyway over coffee when we get in the office. So we're like, let's just do this in the booth and talk about it. And we found a great audience in it, and it keeps growing. And, we think it's entertaining. I mean, as far as, your question, I mean, you have more golf to watch. I think they will get something done. So I think we will have a better product at some point. But for now, it's just been cool to see all the different beefs, so to speak, and all that. It gives us something to watch. I mean, The Housewives lives on for a reason, right? Those shows, people love the drama. And I think people kind of love this drama, especially during, the COVID time.
And that's been part of the website too for us. It's like we tried to say like this new medium allows us to have a voice and say what we want. And you don't have to be a professional writer or whatever. So for the website, like we've gotten writers, they're not pros. They're guys who are just passionate and they just want to write. Like, and they're not going to walk and knock on the door of Golf Digest and start writing. So we're like, if you have an opinion, share it. But I think that there's good and there's bad. I think what's happened with the golf being torn apart, and split in two different directions has turned a lot of casual people off, and that's the thing we don't want to do. Like us diehards, we're going to watch no matter what, right? But I think other people need to, and I think that's why we need a resolution. But I think also that's one more reason why I'm glad there is an additional outlet in like YouTube golf and stuff for some of the people who are just like, they're turned off by it. Like some people just don't want to hear how rich these guys are getting. You know what I mean? But I think like Mike was saying, I think eventually the tour and Live will come together in some way that we can kind of move on from this big split. In the meantime, it gives us something to talk about every week.
Like I loved watching the Dunhill this past weekend. Like it was kind of nice to see like, oh, it cuts from Rory to Hatton 2 holes back. Like that was good to see. I agree. I think something's going to get done. I just don't know the timeline at this point. I think the timeline's going to be, it keeps getting pushed back and pushed back. And it just doesn't seem like anybody wants to budge. But Yasser and Jay were hugging, so maybe
that's a good sign.
Hey, maybe that's a good. Who knows? Maybe. You know what? We'll report right here that a deal's getting done.
Yes.
Kyle, you want to say that?
Breaking news.
Thank you. Where can everybody find you guys?
As long as you can spell the name right, you can find us everywhere. So yeah, Golficity, GOLFICITY, and we enjoy just kind of being everywhere. So like, and a lot of people like use the word YouTuber, and because it's just broadly understandable. It's like calling tissues a Kleenex like at this point. But the reality is, we just want to put our content anywhere that people can see it. So we have it on Facebook Watch as well. We've also another new world that's coming is streaming services. So we've signed a bunch of deals with different streaming services to be able to stream our content there. So a lot of like, I think it's, what is it, TiVos or something? What Vizios? One of those
Vizio
TVs.
TV has their own channels that come with the TV.
And that's
and
one of the ones
Golficity
you may see us
that's
there.
pretty cool.
10 o'clock at night, you might see a video from Scotland from 5 years ago.
It's totally fine. You've been watching darts, and then all of a sudden you see that. But there's that, and then like of course Instagram is where we create a lot of. It's another one that we really like because we get to create a lot of the shorter form content where there might not be somebody who wants to do the deep dive and watch us, talk about every hole of a course for 30 minutes, but they want to just get a flavor of where to go and play next. And we'll do a lot of that type of content there, as well as TikTok and
showcase a little bit of our comedy there. We just put out something of going through TSA with the head cover in my bag.
First of all, like I don't know anybody who does this. Like,
What do you do?
You know how we take the driver head off and you kind of wrap it up nice and put it. He didn't trust TSA so much that he took his new GT head and he just took it as his carry-on.
Do you do that? Is that like normal practice?
First try, first run. I usually leave it on and just
I think it's because he just got the driver.
That makes sense. I would do the same thing. To be fair, like I would do the same thing.
My backpack on my back.
Did TSA like give you any trouble for that?
No, that went right through. Some people were messaging like, "Hey, they don't let me bring that through." I said, "Brought mine through."
Okay.
Why wouldn't they let you bring it through?
I don't know, man. You know TSA, they might not let you bring like a
I mean, it looks
notebook
odd probably on
through.
the screen. Like, what is this?
It definitely hit a nerve because we posted an hour ago and it's got 26,000 views. So people are
It triggered some people.
but people are triggered on this one. Yeah.
Feed the algorithm, baby. Feed the algorithm.
There you go.
Kyle, you got anything else?
Nah, boys. I appreciate y'all coming
you.
coming on today, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your trip. And for those that are listening, if you want to book your next trip to Myrtle Beach, go to playgolfmyrtlebeach.com. We say it every week, but that is the place to go to find all the information on all of our courses, get package trip quotes within a few clicks of the button, and then you can be in the golf capital world like Mike and Frank and live your best life. Boys, I appreciate you guys coming on and hope you guys have a great rest of your trip. And I got to teach you something. Now, when you come on the podcast, there's one thing we do to end it every day, every time. All right. So just pay attention and you'll catch on quick. There's only one thing left to do. See ya.